Her husband, who had been dead for 30 years, suddenly appeared in front of her and became her niece's boyfriend, and her appearance did not change at all. Although reason told her that it was impossible, the man in front of her did the same small movements as her husband, which made her even more confused. And the man's surface seems to have no waves, but in fact, his heart has already turned upside down. The man had lived to be 130 years old, and he was shot and killed in the war, but just as his comrades were about to bury him, he suddenly woke up. He returned to his hometown after the war, but his parents had long since died, and he was left alone, and every night he would have the same nightmare, waking up at the time of his death from a shot. Although insomnia bothered him a lot, he did not give up on life, got married, and had children like ordinary people. But gradually, he found that his appearance had not changed, and some people even wanted to arrest him for experiments, and his wife also ended her life because of the aging of her appearance, which brought about a strong psychological gap, because she didn't want her husband to see her aging appearance. This blow made the man worse than death. He closed himself, and after decades of loneliness, he met a girl who opened his heart again. The girl once swore to you that no matter what happened, she would choose to believe him, so he put his heart at ease and married the girl. One day after marriage, the girl found a photo, which was a group photo of his first family. The girl thought that he already had a family outside and felt that he had been deceived, but he didn't know how to explain it, and only let the girl believe in himself. But the girl didn't listen to him at all, and in a fit of rage drove him out, and he was once again alone, and the secret was known only to his grandson, whom he had picked up. In order to avoid being discovered, Kyle moves his residence to a small island and sees his grandson every once in a while. During this meeting, Kyle leaves a letter for his grandson to open in the evening. Sun Tzu vaguely felt a little uneasy, but he didn't dare to disobey his explanation. On the way back, Kyle finds Mei trapped at sea due to a ship breakdown, and he takes Mei to the island. Xiaomei came to the island to find creative courage, and she is going to write a novel about an immortal man looking for love. Kyle thought to himself, isn't that what I'm talking about, and tells his story in someone else's voice. Xiaomei was very interested after hearing this, and was worried that she couldn't find inspiration, so the two chatted for a long time, until a rainstorm arrived, blocking Xiaomei's plan to return to the city, and she temporarily stayed at Kyle's house. Kelki was going to kill himself tonight, because he had had enough of hiding and enough of being alone. At the end of the story, his tone is full of misanthropy, and Mei interrupts him. She doesn't like the ending that Kyle said. She wants to rearrange a happy ending for the characters in the book, which will make him rediscover the meaning of life and discover the beauty of life. At this point, the rainstorm has stopped. Kyle sends Mei back, and the two parted a little unhappily because of a disagreement. Back on the island, Kyle is contemplating whether or not to end his life. The grandson arrives in a hurry, and he sees the letter left by Kyle, for fear that Kyle will not be able to think about it and leave him. Seeing that Kyle is still alive, he breaks down and cries. Kyle remembered the lively and innocent Mei and what Mei said, and felt a strange feeling in his heart, so he gave up the idea of suicide. The next day, when Xiaomei was flying home, she saw a book on the seat, so she picked it up with some curiosity. Kyle suddenly appears in front of him and says that he wants to recomplete the ending of the story with Xiaomei. Xiaomei was a little confused, and before she could react, the plane had already taken off, and she grabbed Kyle's hand with some fear, and Kyle comforted her warmly on the side. After getting off the plane, the two hurriedly separated. Watching Xiaomei being picked up by her boyfriend, Kyle was a little lonely. However, he left a contact number in Xiaomei's book. He knew that Xiaomei would definitely call him, and he came back this time for another purpose, which was to return to the house where he lived back then, and get everything related to his identity, and he wanted to destroy these things, because he found that a group of people had been staring at him, and he guessed that the purpose of those people was to dig out the secrets on him. The house was now occupied by his second wife, and the things were in the basement that only he knew, and what he didn't know was that Xiaomei was his wife's niece.